see ya. Yay.
But is it the same one now or what?
No, I had to make a copy of it because you lose the button that says start HOV or whatever. You lose that button. But making a copy is pretty easy to do.
So what happened? Like, what went wrong?
I had you as TARA. I had the other email address. Mm-hmm. That's what I had you in as presenter with the other email address. Okay. That's why it was screwed up.
But this is just the Google now. It's not Webinar Fusion, is it?
It's actually Webinar Fusion overlaid over Google Hangouts.
Yeah, because the previous screen was showing powered by...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I can do that. How about that? Does that change it?
Not yet.
No. Okay. I have no idea.
The last one was different because it said at the bottom corner, left-hand side, and that was a different interface.
I have no clue.
I think this is Google Hangout.
Well, oh wait a minute. Let me just stop.
This is just Google Hangout.
It's got the overlay of Webinar Fusion Pro.
Oh yeah, I see on left side. I see the button Webinar Fusion Pro. Okay. All right.
It's very confusing. That's why I told you the last time it was like a nightmare.
So, okay. So what's going on?
Here. There, maybe. I'm in this little corner in my room because I'm trying to get the right background. There's no right background here.
Mm-hmm. Just like mine. Like I can't move around anywhere.
I know it's gonna be like I'm jammed against this bookcase. So it's like.
Or maybe I'm thinking of getting a curtain, like the blue. Something.
Yeah, I was thinking that there really is not a lot of room. Literally, if I'm like sitting here, my elbows touch both sides. I don't.
Well, you can still hang that little curtain or something in the back.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, just with the pins or whatever,
Yeah, I could do that. So
this is being recorded?
This is being recorded, yeah. It's being recorded right now, actually, since we started. So
how are you going to edit this then?
Well, it goes up on my YouTube account, and then I'll cut off the front.
Okay.
And cut off the back. So if we need it, cut off the back.
All right. Cool. So what are we doing now?
I think you're interviewing me. But if you want to just use this as like getting comfortable with this interface, I have no problem with that too.
No, I don't think I have to do anything else with the interface now. I'll just start talking and, we don't have to do anything. There's no chat or nobody's chatting anyway.
No, they're not.
So we don't have to do anything.
And it can be as little or as long as you want. It makes no difference.
Okay, and what's the name? What's the topic? It's not in your bio. What's the topic?
Well, I said fire up your leadership because it's all about leadership.
Okay.
And about personal leadership.
So what am I saying? I am interviewing my friend, or how is it? Like,
you can say you're interviewing your friend. That's fine. I'm pretty laid back. And remember, this is our trial to get this thing going, so it's not like,
Well, our goal is to get it done properly, so you can use it.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we do want that. But yeah.
All right, let's get it. Here we go.
Okay.
So welcome viewers, this is Faisal Hamid Khattak from theleadersmith.com, and today I will be having a conversation with one of my good friends, Victoria Hargis. And we're going to talk about leadership, and the topic today is fire up your leadership. Now, before I have a conversation with Victoria, I would like to say a few words about her. Victoria Hargis is an expert at turning challenges into accomplishments. Her life exemplifies transition and what it takes to let go of what was in order to grasp the next level of what awaits us all. She works with women who are ready to make changes and discover their purpose, learn how to access their inner leader and claim their place in the world. She does this by helping them let go of their fear, let go of past resentments, and step into their future as impassioned leaders. Victoria is a licensed practitioner of NLP, a certified hypnotist, hypnotherapist, and a certified transition coach. Her recently released book, Raw Leadership: Awaken Your Power Within, walks reader through the steps to experience their own awakening. In addition, she has an audio recording, Fire Up Your Leadership, available on her website, victoriahargis.com, to assist women wishing to further their ability to make changes. So with that, Victoria, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, Faisal. That was really nice.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm on the other side of the world, kind of from you. You're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast of North America. So it's kind of fun to get together.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I remember when we were in the same programs, same Speakers Academy in Canada, and you came all the way from America to attend that. And I have seen you grown into a leadership position, like you have become a leader. And during the program, I know you shared your struggles, your past with myself and all the attendees, and that was pretty remarkable to see who you have become now. So before we get into what leadership is and how you help other women to stand up and, you know, make room for themselves in this, what they say, man's world, which I don't agree. So we're going to talk about that, how you do that. But first of all, let's start with what made you who you are today, and what pushed you, and, you know, what is the fire behind what do you do today, and why you chose this path, and how did it all start? Was it like long time ago, through your childhood, or whatever it was? Please share that.
Well, it usually starts with everyone in their childhood, so I'll briefly share my childhood. It was a pretty abusive childhood. So I actually kept myself separate. I spent a lot of time of my life in my books. I read continuously and nonstop, which gave me an idea that there was a different world and a better world out there. And I'm always attracted to, or have always been attracted to, journeys where people go, companions go on a journey together to get a specific goal or a sacred thing. And that has always been one of my fascinations in books. So I find myself drawn to that a lot. And then when I was an adult, my youngest son was developed a seizure disorder when he was 3.5. He was perfectly normal, and then woke up one day and had a grand mal seizure. And over the course of the next 3 months, he deteriorated so that he was having 60 seizures a day. He was on 3 major anticonvulsants. He had regressed in all of his milestones. And at the same time, 3 months after that, I mean, within 3 months, my first husband was murdered. So I was really thrown into a state of, well, shock, first of all, transition. My whole life had blown up in my face, and I really didn't know what to do. So I did what you do, what we're taught to do, is you just take and you put one foot in front of your other one, and you just keep working and moving forwards, because that's all it seems like you can do. So I pretty much put myself and my wishes and my desires on the back burner and took care of my youngest son. That lasted for about 10 years, at which time he died. He died when he was 13. But as a child, he was one of my greatest mentors, because he knew who he was by the time he was 13. And so many of us adults who have lived much longer struggle to figure out who in the heck we are. Mm-hmm. It's like we don't know what it is. And so as I think I explained to you previously, that I met the leader of or the head of our speaker academy in Chicago at a speaking engagement. And I was impressed with what he had to say in the story that he told of his life. And so I was encouraged to come up to Vancouver and to attend some of his events. The thing that got me was like 3 years prior to meeting this person, I couldn't even say my name in a group of people. I was that shy and that reserved and that intimidated by people. I ran a business, but I had a hard time speaking at all in public. And I went on a retreat in Texas for about a week. And that retreat was to break through the gremlins, those things, those noises, those words that come around in our heads telling us we're not good enough, we can't do it. We all have them. We all have those words. And
Amen.
yeah, we do. And on the last night of the retreat, we were told we were going to walk a fire walk. In fact, they didn't tell us. They brought us out to the fire walk, a 20-foot long fire walk, 850 degrees. And they set us on a blanket and they said, you are going to stand up and one by one state what you're breaking through and what you want to work towards. And I can tell you that the amount of time I spent on that blanket was not spent looking at the fire and deciding that I want to walk 850 degrees, because that didn't bother me. It would bother most people. I didn't want to stand up and actually say those two sentences. And so I sat on that blanket and I was like repeating the sentences over and over and over in my head, like we do when we're practicing. When it was my turn, I stood up, I started walking. I said it, I started walking 10 feet in. I reached this moment. There are moments in all of our lives like this. That moment where it's like, I can choose one of two things. I can choose to go forward in my life the same way I have done it in the past, or I can choose something different. And I walked off that fire walk, came home, joined Toastmasters, learned to get over the initial fear, and then decided to go to the Authentic Speaker Academy for Leadership because it would push me even further. And I think it's my belief that when you reach a goal, something else calls out to you to go a little bit faster and a little bit farther than you did previously. So now I'm spoken internationally, thanks to Vancouver, and I am moving forward with my speaking career also.
Well, that's an awesome and painful story, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I'm sure there are viewers who can relate to that now, and they can be inspired by your story, and that's the whole idea of us speakers. We like to inspire people and help them to be who they are, really. So in your story, I picked up a couple of things. In your past, in your childhood, well, not in childhood, when you had your son and then you lost your husband, you actually adopted what everybody else does, all the moms and all the women do. They start focusing on the household, on their kids, and they stop worrying about themselves or stop spending time on themselves. So is that what happened when all this went down and you stopped looking at yourself and you stopped looking at how to be happy from inside? Does that resonate?
Yeah, kind of, except that it never entered my mind that I was supposed to be happy on the inside, even up to that point, because I was raised to be, these are your roles that you fill in life and you just do them because you have to, so your wife, because you're a girl, you have to be a wife. That's part of the conditions. Right. And then you have kids because that's the second part that happens automatically. And then you're supposed to put your life on the back burner and let work for your husband and work for your kids and make sure that everybody's happy, everybody's fed, everybody has everything they need. So yes, I did very much put myself on the back burner, but it was expected. So that was kind of hard to get through.
So when you say expected, how did you learn, like, you have to be a mother and you have to fulfill your son's dreams and you have to give everything you have? So who taught you that?
Well, the whole thing about your life goes in the back burner, I think I learned pretty much from my parents. Although, which is kind of funny because my mother, by the time I was born, I would say she was depressed because she spent a lot of time watching soap operas and laying on the couch, and
Mhm.
she didn't have a very, to me, a very full life. And I know
Right.
she had wanted to be a doctor, but she didn't even pursue that. So I saw that as a group, and I'm like, I knew there was more, but I didn't know how to get it because that was the only role model I had. I lived
Mhm.
in a middle class neighborhood. The wife stayed home, took care of the kids, and the husbands went to work. That was just the way it was. So I didn't know any better. I just figured I couldn't do that, and but I ended up doing it anyhow. So it was like,
So would it be safe to say that you missed leadership, your own leadership, and leadership in the house where you were growing up? You missed that, like a role model who was a
oh,
leader for you.
definitely. I did not have it when I was growing up. I had it in my books. I
Right.
could read about the leaders and read about, yes, there's a possibility of living a different life, or
Mhm.
being a different person, but I didn't know how to get there. It was like I didn't have that instruction book
I see.
that
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
no
else
manual, no blueprint, right?
had.
Um, I was reading a book a couple of months ago, and it's kind of it resonates with me now that they say when we grow up, we tend to do, or our message becomes what we missed in our childhood in our parents.
Hmm.
So in your case, it seems like it was a leadership or a role model. So that's what you have become now. You are being a leader, and you're being a role model for all the other women out there.
I think it's true. We do tend to. There's actually two prongs to my childhood, and I was a very silent child.
Hmm.
Even when company came over, I would be hiding behind a chair, watching, wanting to participate, but children are seen and not heard
Right.
was kind of put in my head. So it was like it was hard to get past that. So it was actually finding the voice.
Hmm.
How do I even communicate this? Do we even have the right to communicate this?
Right.
So yeah, it was the leadership part was missing in my life, and I thought you just grow up and you have a very boring life from that point on. You don't have any life.
Well, luckily you found your passion. You started thinking the other way now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about leadership. We hear all the time, like people tell us, traits, attitudes, and characteristics of a true leader. So what are those characteristics, in your opinion, to be a true leader and the real leader?
Okay, this is going to go a little bit off the rails a little bit here. So let's just listen and see. I really get a little not even irritated, but it's just like I look at those leadership lists of you got to be a leader, you got to do this, this, and this. Okay,
Right, right.
but there are millions of people in the world, and
Hmm.
we are born leaders. We are actually born with the ability to be leaders. We learn how to walk and crawl by ourselves. We pull ourselves up. We do not give up, and we're very determined, and we keep at it. Okay, that's what we're born with. And
Hmm.
then somewhere along the way, we get told we're not leaders and we can't do it and we shouldn't do it. And what gives you the right to do it? And so then you give that up and you forget that you actually do have those leadership characteristics right within you. Every single human being born has it because we have that desire and the will to push forward.
Right.
I think when we connect with our purpose and we know why we're here, it's easier for us to be that leader. It's easier for us to reach deep within ourselves and go back and claim who we were when we were born and when we were very young. And I believe every single person needs to be a leader in their life in order to have what they want.
Pretty awesome. So what I get from that is like there is not a specific set of characteristics that in order to be a leader you have to be strong either physically or mentally, and you have to know the language, or you have to be really good at that language, and you have to be authoritative and all that kind of stuff. What I'm getting from you is anybody or everybody can be a leader, as long as they get connected with their purpose and their why in their lives. And all these characteristics build up slowly as you become really who you are.
Right. You're 100% correct. That is exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We were all created to have we were created to live abundantly. We were all created to live abundantly.
Exactly. So now and in other words, if, let's say if I want to become a leader, let's say, and I start following this set of characteristics or traits and, the signs, I would probably become a fake leader if I'm not connected with myself. If I'm just following those traits, I don't think I'll be a true leader. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think that we've all seen leaders in quotes like that, where I'm the leader and, I'm a leader because I can delegate and I can move us forward and all that kind of stuff. But really, they're dictators. And that's not a leader. A leader leads from within. They lead from their purpose, their passion. They inspire. They don't have to tell anybody what to do. They inspire by their very actions, their very being. So it's...
And these leaders probably are scared inside because they're not being true to themselves.
You're right. They probably are. And they're always thinking like, oh, was I hard enough? Or I got to get harder because it's not working. Or, they have this external set of check marks they have to check off. Was I leading my group strong enough? Are they moving forward? Are they getting it done? And it's, that's why we see so many leaders that crash and burn it's like they get to a certain point in their life and then all of a sudden it's like it implodes. There's nothing of substance left. It's all
right. And I think most of the leaders, they take leadership role as a designation. It's like getting a degree. It's not like that. I mean, being leader, it comes within, and we're gonna talk more about that. So, on your path of becoming a leader, what have you found to assist you?
Oh, it's amazing what happens when you start on a path or set your intention for a certain thing, because things happen that allow you to go to the, let's say, not that there are levels, but to the next level. And so there have been some very, very profound tools and resources that I've used to actually get me connected to who I am. And one of the strongest and most important for me, anyhow, was the sense of being aware of how you're constructing your own life. And the fact that we each have a different map that we have inside of us that is different from anyone else's based on what we've learned as a child and growing up. It all goes on our map. And if there's something that we want to do that isn't on our map, we have no clue how to get there. We might not even see that it exists. But once you start becoming aware of what you're doing that's actually creating your certain circumstances, you can actually not do that anymore. Just by becoming aware of it, you will not consciously do something that will harm you in life. If you are going through life and you are addicted to something, or you are doing things that are not very productive for you, if you truly see how you're creating that, you won't do it anymore, because you won't harm yourself if you truly understand what you're doing. Well, so I think the first step is being aware and taking charge of the fact that you do create your own reality. You create your life. Whatever life that is yours because of your map and because of your beliefs. So
okay, well, I'm sensing there are some viewers who are saying, Victoria, you're just bullshitting around. How can I realize that I'm not on the right path, or my map is kind of screwed up, the inner map, and I'm doing few things which are not right to do, but it's kind of scary for me to change those things and adapt the new things. So it is very scary. Okay. How do I do that? Society won't allow that.
And it is scary, and your map won't let you, you really won't let you do it until you become aware. And the other part of that, okay, this is a very important concept of it, is, you know, those people that tick us off, the ones that make us so angry that we can hardly see straight?
Right.
This is a radical idea. They're your greatest gift because they're revealing to you a part of you that is hidden from you. Because we can't see ourselves as clearly as someone else can. And as soon as somebody's ticking you off or making you angry, it's telling you inside that there's something that's not quite healed yet that you need to look at and figure out how that part of you, why that part of you is being triggered by this person. Because I can guarantee you that not everybody is being triggered the same. For example, I belong to a networking group, and one of the persons was standing up to do their 10-minute presentation. And as she went through her presentation, she was too long. It was way too long. And so the leader of the group said, you're over time right now. You need to cut it shorter. And she says, okay, give me a couple seconds. So the leader of the group, being funny, said, okay, 1, 2. And the person that was presenting got so angry, even though the woman didn't cut her off. She was just, joking around with her. She got so angry, she was livid. She was so livid that she walked out of that room at the end of it, didn't say hi or bye to anybody, and just left. And she was angry for 2 days because I talked to her after that. And I'm looking at that going, okay, it was not meant as an attack at all. And yet that woman took it as an attack.
Right.
Okay, so it was something obviously in her background that made her feel that she was being, insulted or put down or controlled or what. But that's the wound that needs to heal, not the person outside you, the wound inside you. Because if you don't heal it, it's going to come up again and you're going to have to deal with it again. I would prefer not to deal with that stuff. So when it comes up, I really try very hard to work through whatever emotion it is so that I can get clearer about that and not be triggered by it in the future. So,
well, talking about wounds, it's like whenever you put a medicine on the wound, it hurts or it burns or it stings in the beginning. But then at the end, it all works out.
Better. You actually heal from it. That's true. And it's really fascinating because I would never, ever have thought this in the past. And when I was growing up and when I was a younger adult, I thought that, okay, I won't get angry at this person. Anger has always been hard for me to experience, either feel it or be in a room where there was anger. So what I would do is just pretend, I say pretend, but in my mind it was real, that they just didn't understand what they were doing, and therefore I'll forgive them and I won't hold it against them and all that kind of stuff. So I was turning myself into a pretzel rather than dealing with the idea that anger is just an emotion and it does not have to be an attack. It's just an expression of an emotion from someone. So that when I learned that and was able to experience that really helped a lot. I'm able to actually not feel that fear that you feel sometimes, that some people feel when they're around anger, because I realize it's not mine.
Okay. So when you talk about leadership, and I know when you are with your clients, are we talking about leadership of how to become a CEO or how to become a manager or how to manage other people below you? Is that the type of leadership you teach, or leadership for you is something else? Okay,
leadership, well, for me, it's dual pronged, because I think every leader that's a CEO or whatever should actually know how to do this first before they become a CEO or a manager or a boss. But leadership really is about leading yourself, because if you can't lead yourself into having the life you want, you can't lead anyone else. You can force them to do stuff and you can boss them around and make them do it if you have power over them, but it isn't true leadership. True leadership doesn't need to have somebody underneath them, because it's always about equal and keeping them on the same plane as yourself. And I know many people have heard the expression of it's a we relationship rather than an I or you. we're trying to keep it on the same level so that you actually can be co-creators and be leaders in your own life, and also inspire other people around you. So it's more of a self-leadership, but that's the start of any kind of leadership. That's my belief.
Cool, cool. Now, you had this huge story which made you or helped you to become who you are. If you could go back, or if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently, or would you do anything differently?
Well, obviously, there's a few. We always have some things we do differently. I'm grateful for every experience I've had in my life. I am grateful for it because it made me into who I am. I feel like I lost a few years in there because I shut down. I lost about 15 years by shutting down because I really literally had tried everything I thought I could think of that was on my map of reality and anything that I had read to create the life that I wanted, and I couldn't do it. And so I eventually just shut down because I personally got told I was doing grief all wrong, and I got told that I didn't know what I was talking about. So I just shut down, but we don't have to shut down. And I wish someone had been along in the early years to let me know, no, what you're doing is right. The journey within is right. And you just have to keep going because it's going to have the ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to have days where you feel great, and you're going to have days where you feel like you have just barely gotten out of bed because it's so, it's the roller coaster of emotions, because you have to figure out who you are. And the only way to figure it out is to really go through and I won't say relive those feelings and those emotions, but you have to experience them in a way so that you can actually figure out how that fits into the mosaic of your life and how you got where you are. It's all part and parcel of it. So
when we are working on ourselves to become a leader or better our lives, there's always some kind of fear. You just touched on that earlier, that each one of us has some kind of a fear. So what is this fear, and how does it stop us?
This stops us usually is the fear. For me, it was, in my childhood and stuff, I was hypervigilant. So everything was fearful, even if I never showed it on the surface. And I know, Faisal, you remember when you first met me, I had no emotion on my face whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
So you couldn't tell what I was feeling and thinking because I never let anybody know, because it was always inside of me, because I felt like I had to make sure that I knew the answers for things before I got asked, or I would be, for some reason in my head was like I would be punished or hurt in some way. That's my fear that I had to conquer. Other people have different fears. My fear of the past, though, kept me locked up inside so that I couldn't speak, and I couldn't have the life that I wanted because I was so fearful of getting it wrong. Okay. And then you come out of that. Okay. You finally can come out of that, and you're not fearful of being wrong. And you realize that you become more successful, and you just need to fail faster. Then you have that fear of the future that pops up. The fear of, what if I really am successful?
Right.
How is that going to change my life? Or the fear of, maybe nobody's going to want to listen to me. I'm going to be talking and the room's going to be empty. Or worse, I'm going to be talking and then everybody's going to be carrying on their own conversation, not paying attention to me, So there's all these fears, both the past and the future, and they really prevent us from living our today. So we rob ourselves of our today because we're afraid of the past and the future. So,
each one of us has ego, and some of us have very big egos, huge egos. So how do egos manipulate our fear, or is there any connection between ego and the fear?
Yeah, I think there is. The thing about ego really can be your friend, even though at times it seems like that's the thing that's holding you back. But ego is the thing that tells you what you're afraid of. It's the thing that pops up as soon as you want to do something. Or even, like you say, you might have a big ego. I'd say everybody has a big ego because that's the thing that keeps telling us not to do something. Mm-hmm. And it's trying to keep us safe based on our past map of reality. It learned throughout its life that if you do X, Y, or Z, you're going to get punished in some way, shape, and form. So it says, don't do that. You're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. And by realizing what it's telling you not to do, you can actually get a bigger awakening into who you are. Because if it's telling you, don't go out there and talk, it's telling you at some point in your life, you were told you needed not to talk. You needed not to speak up, or that you didn't have the right to, or you weren't worthy enough to do it. So your ego actually, even though it does yell at you a lot, as we all know, the chihuahua in our head, it also is like a signpost telling us what we need to heal and where we need to go and how to. It won't tell us how to heal it because it's going to scream as loud as it possibly can, but at least it gives us an indicator of what we need to look at in our lives. So it just doesn't belong in the driver's seat. It belongs in the passenger seat or in the back seat. You're the driver of your life. You decide what you want to do.
Well, it seems like having a conversation with you, I heard some touches of spirituality. So do you bring spirituality in your teachings too, like how to become a true leader?
Well, I kind of have a different viewpoint on spirituality. I don't separate who I am, and I'm a spiritual being. I happen to inhabit a human body. I'm a spiritual being. So yes, I'm not going to force my belief on someone else, but at the same time, it's about expanding maps of reality. And if you're not willing to look at what you believe, let's face it, I grew up Catholic, 12 years at Catholic school, Irish Catholic family, big That's family. Tough. And I was indoctrinated with different things. And I can remember the biggest eye-opening experience I had was when I was an adult. See, I was taught when I was young that if I, as a girl, put a foot on the sanctuary floor, which is where the altar's on, I would go to hell. Now, obviously, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Pretty extreme. So, but I believed it, and I'm like, at the same time arguing against it, like, why would that make a difference that I'm a girl versus a boy? So when I was an adult, I went to Europe, and I went to the city of Assisi in Italy. Assisi is where Francis of Assisi came from. And I'm walking the streets, really, really tiny, quaint streets with cobblestones, the whole things. And I happen to be passing by this building, and I'm watching. I turn my head because the door's open, and I look, and it's a group of nuns, and they are doing a service. And I don't know if you know what a monstrance is, but it's what holds the host on a Catholic service, and it looks it's gold, and it's very beautiful, and they hold it up.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so just to give you an idea. So the idea that a woman could hold or touch that thing when you couldn't step foot on the sanctuary floor, and I saw this nun doing it in Assisi. And I know that might not sound big to a lot of people, but it was like this biggest eye-opening experience of, wait a minute, maybe my thoughts weren't quite right. Maybe what I was taught wasn't right. Mm-hmm. That was the first step of actually going, oh, okay, maybe I need to relook at this and move forward and do that. So whatever your spirituality is, because we are spiritual beings, yes, I'm respectful of that because we each have our own path to walk. If it runs into where it's stopping them from living their life, I might question them and ask them, tell me more about this. Tell me how this experience fits into your life. What does it say to you? And what does it mean to you? But yeah, I can't separate spirituality from myself. It's part and parcel,
Well, what I feel through this conversation is to become a leader, a true leader in our own lives first. I'm not talking about an organization. Leadership in ourselves somehow we have to go back in the past, in the childhood or whatever, how many years we have to go back and face that fear, the fear which is holding us back from becoming who we truly are.
Right.
So is that something you work with too in your coaching?
I do. In fact, it was really interesting because I was just, this is not a coaching client, but it's a friend. She was coaching yesterday because she was panicking about, she's got a business where she works with people to help them start their businesses. Mm-hmm. And she has a real cash flow issue right now. And so we sat down, we started talking about her money mindset. And she's like, well, I don't have anything bad with money in my, father, mother. And as we continued talking, what came up was she hates money. So it was no surprise that if you hate money, you're going to have a hard time gathering it, right. And taking it in. And so as she's going to be moving forward, working on that particular mindset, because she wasn't even really aware of it. It just was going through her life and she never even really thought about it. But yet it's stopping her from achieving what she wants. And it's a wound from her childhood because her parents fought about money all the time. But she didn't connect that with, oh, that's a wound, because she thought separately. Her father didn't really do anything. Her mother didn't really do anything. But together they created this stressful environment surrounding money. So it's affecting her today.
Wow.
And she's a lawyer, so she's not trained in everything, but it's affecting her today.
Well, it's kind of strange. There are so many things which are affecting us subconsciously or unconsciously, which we picked up from childhood or from our neighbors or society or our parents, and we become adults and we totally forget about them. But inside, it's like somebody working in the background, is poking, and we don't realize what that fear is. So I guess in your programs, when you're working with your clients, you have some kind of a technique to get those fears out and then face them.
Yeah, a lot of it is questioning, just, asking them questions, finding out about who they are and what it means to them. When something comes up, if I hear something that they say in their sentences, we reveal ourselves to other people. I think that's pretty clear that other people see us so much better than we see ourselves, that the fact that you have somebody outside of yourself looking at your life and trying to, help you go through it actually helps you get clearer about what's going on. I've caught myself saying, and other people have caught me in things that I can't believe I said. It was just like, oh, where did that one come from? And it's a matter of going back and looking at where it came from to find out how you can release yourself or free yourself from that belief. Because, we weren't meant to live small lives. We were meant to live large.
So do you think in this so-called man's world, there is a need for women to stand up and own their leadership? And if yes, then is that the reason you're helping all the other women out there?
Yes, you kind of hit my soapbox here. I personally believe, well, let's just start with the Dalai Lama. In 2009 in Vancouver at the Peace Conference, he said that Western women are going to be the ones that change the world. As we look out in the world, all of us can see things that we are not satisfied with or happy with. And I'm not talking about even in our personal lives. I'm talking about in the world. We see terrorists. We see police in my country, police that will shoot people that they're arresting for no reason. I'm sure you've seen videos like that. Yep. And we see people that are mean to one another, or people that don't think that we need to help the homeless or don't need to house and treat our veterans. There's all sorts of things out there that, in my viewpoint, need to be addressed. Okay. The only way we can address that is if we are all participating in our world. We weren't called to be born here to just sit out there and watch TV or we weren't called to be born so we could twiddle our thumbs or create. We were called and we were born to live out our purpose. And the fact that half the population, the women have, for the most part, have sat back and let men rule the world, we've kind of abdicated our responsibility to be part and parcel of the co-creation of what we have. We are responsible for the damage that's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. And you can say, well, I don't have a gun, I don't shoot anyone, but there are times in our lives where we've turned our eyes away. And I'll speak for myself, we've turned our eyes away from the person that's begging on the street, or there's something that we could do, or a bully. And I know mm-hmm. bullying, you're really into the healing the bullying, but we've all turned away from a bully. Okay, I don't know anybody that hasn't. And the fact is, that's our fear speaking up. Like, what if I speak up, then I'm going to be attacked. Mm-hmm. So it's our fear keeps us so small. And women, because we have stepped to the back and taken care of everyone else in our life, we need to step up. We need to get in touch with our purpose, our passion, and start living the life we were born to live. And so it's not that men are bad and women are good. That's not it at all. It's that mm-hmm. we're missing half the population, So, and there are men that I've checked out too, by the way. There are men that have checked out and decided to sit back. So It's not so much gender as it is in, we need to bring back all of us.
Awesome. I think you have a great mission, a great purpose. And I hope there are more and more women who can get connected with you in some way, shape, or form, maybe through your book or through your programs or your workshops. Let's talk about where people can find your book, the recently released book, Raw Leadership, Awaken Your Power Within.
Okay, so where is it? Okay. Well, they can get it from a link on my website, victoriahargis.com, Hargis. It's Victoria, VICTORIAHARGIS.com. There is a link on the homepage. I can't even use myself, so it's all for other people. And but you can also get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online, and it's available in the Kindle version and in the paperback version. Okay. So they're welcome to get a hold of me off my website. There is a link for a free discovery call on the bottom of the homepage. Okay. And it will say discovery call. And they can fill out the form and have a free discovery call with me to find out whether or how they can move forward in their lives to get what they want and achieve what they want.
Well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to say to the viewers at the end?
Yes, I would like to say this. Mm-hmm. We were born magnificent. We learned how to not be magnificent in our life. Mm-hmm. And when we experience loss or hardship in our life, it's my belief, it's the spirit calling out to you to get connected and to start living the life that you were born to live.
Wow, that is powerful.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you for this conversation, Victoria. It was awesome, and it was inspiring, and it was empowering. And like I said before, I hope the viewers, they can really grasp the teachings and the wisdom you shared. And that is just a piece of what you do. I hope they can get connected with you. They can call you or maybe email and see what they can learn from you, especially through that free discovery call. I mean, I will pick up the phone and, find out who you are and how you can help them. Especially, like you said, women in this society, I mean, they need to stand up and be shoulder to shoulder with the men and own their own true self. So, again, thank you very much for doing this conversation, and we'll talk, I guess, in more depth next time.
Sounds good. It sounds really good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Again, this is Faisal Hamid Khattak from theleadersmith.com, and we were having a conversation with Victoria Hargis from Victoria Hargis, GIS at the end, .com. Okay, take care till next time.
Thank you.